What's going on, guys? It's Spud, and welcome to my 26-man England World Cup squad. Who I would take if I was the England manager. Obviously, I know that Thomas Tuchel isn't going to take the exact same squad, but I think that most of the players will be the same. There will be obviously maybe a tad bias with one or two players, but I'll explain why I'm going to go for certain players, and I'll also show you my starting 11 afterwards. For like my best England 11 with what we've got. And to be fair, there's only really one controversial pick in there. If you are new, please subscribe to the channel, it helps me out. This is obviously episode 32 of Spud Ball. We have got more Spud Ball coming. We've got to have World Cup predictions probably next week. I'm not going to bother with a Liverpool season review. Obviously, Salah's last game on Sunday, and Robertson's is going to be sad. But yeah, they should get Champions League at least. So yeah, we're gonna go on transfer market. We're gonna do our 26-man England squad. Obviously, it gives you all the options here. Let's just get straight into it. Obviously, you need to have three goalkeepers. I'm expecting that Jason Steele, by the way, who you can see at the bottom of my screen, I'm expecting him to go with the England squad as like a training goalkeeper, but not be in the official 26-man squad. I can't see him calling up four keepers. It would just be a waste of time. Pretty straightforward for these two. Jordan Pickford's number one. Dean Henderson should be number two. If James Trafford obviously played more games, James Trafford would be contesting at least for number two. Ramsdale and Pope have rotated a bit this season. Obviously, Carl Rushworth's had a good year for Coventry, but I'll go with Trafford. Um, Pickford's never really put a foot wrong for England. Dean Henderson's obviously had a decent season for Palace again, and obviously James Trafford, when he's played for Man City, has been pretty good, but obviously lost his spot to Donnarumma. Interesting to see what happens with James Trafford because obviously he's a ball-playing goalkeeper, which is what Maresca likes. Obviously, Maresca's going to be replacing Guardiola in the summer, which is, crazy, really. Like, the Pep's leaving, but yeah. So we'll move on to defence. So, in my opinion, you need two left backs, two right backs, and five central defenders, but at least one defender that can play at left back or right back. So we'll start with the left backs because they're pretty easy. We're going to go Nico O'Reilly and Lewis Hall. Um, We'll go with the right back, so Reece James for me. If he's fit, he's an incredible right back. He's not had as many injuries in the last couple of years, which is obviously really good for him. Um, the other right back's obviously quite interesting. Livramento's had a poor season and he's been injured a lot. Wouldn't take him. Jed Spence was playing a lot for Spurs and was alright, but he's not playing as much under De Zerbi. Obviously, Trent hasn't been called up under Tuchel. Since Trent hasn't been called up since he joined Real Madrid, and obviously people will still question his defensive work because it hasn't got better since he joined Real Madrid. But obviously he offers something that a lot of players might not offer, and also you can play him in midfield, you can play Reece James in midfield and play Trent at right back. So I think I will take Trent. Obviously, I can't really say it's bias anymore because he plays for Real Madrid, but I do think that just because Livramento's had a bad season and Spence as well, I just think Trent should be called up. I hope he doesn't call up Ben White. I know he's injured at the moment, but I really hope they don't call him up. Obviously, there's a couple of options for that centre back that can play in the other part of the defence. So we're going to go with the centre backs. So first of all, we're going to go with Mark Gahey. You know, I do think that there is some negatives to his game. He maybe needs to be a bit stronger. He's a bit short. Ezri Konsa has had a great season at Villa. I'm not going to include John Stones. He just hasn't played football. He shouldn't be in the squad. Harry Maguire, obviously, he might not make the squad, but he has had a good season for Man United. Regardless of what I think about Man United, he has had a good season, and for me, he should be in the squad. How many centre backs is that? That's three. The fourth centre back I'm going to call up is going to be Levi Colwill. Obviously, he has just come back from an injury, a long-term injury. But I think his passing is really good and he's really calm on the ball and he's Chelsea's best centre back. And he should be in the England squad, but obviously I don't know if he will be just because he's obviously just come back from injury. So the fifth centre back, the two players that I would consider are actually on the screen now. So obviously Luke Shaw is a left back, but can play centre back. But could he only play centre back in a back three? Probably. But the player I'm going to go with, obviously people are going to say it's biased because obviously I do like him a lot, even though he left Liverpool. Because he has played an England game at right back and has been and plays as a right centre back in a back three. Tuchel's played him at right back for England and is only cap and he's in the camp a lot. I'm going to go with Jarell Quansah. Um, I do think that he's had an alright season for Bayer Leverkusen, and the fact that he's been in every England camp except obviously the last one because he was injured, I do think he will make the squad. No, sorry, he might not make the squad, but in my opinion, he should be in the squad. But obviously, Dan Burn is another option for the centre back that can play left back or as one of the full backs. But yeah, that's going to be my defence. I think that is enough defenders. So then we're going to move to midfielders and forwards, and with this, I am going to do this in terms of my pivot players, then the left wingers, the right wingers, the number 10s, the strikers, or in any certain order like that. But we'll start with the pivot players. So we're going to start with Declan Rice, of course, a no-brainer. Just won the Premier League, obviously Champions League finalist as well, had a good season. Elliot Anderson has been fantastic this season for Nottingham Forest. We're expecting him to probably move to Manchester City or Manchester United in the summer. We'll have to see. I think he'll be focusing on the World Cup first. So there's two. The third player I'm going to pick is going to be Alex Scott. I think Alex Scott has been fantastic for Bournemouth. I was a bit surprised that he wasn't in the last England squad when he was in the one before that. And I am hoping that, the good stuff he's shown under Andorra Iraola this season will be rewarded with an England call-up for the World Cup. And then obviously you are going to probably need a fourth player that can play in that pivot. Now obviously Jude Bellingham could be that player, or would I prefer Jude Bellingham to play higher up? This is the difficult question really. Because in certain games, if you've got Jude Bellingham playing higher up, it's almost like a midfield three of like a 4-3-3 rather than a 4-2-3-1, which it will be on paper. So I do feel like for that I would need a fourth option. So realistically, you're looking at it's probably between Adam Wharton, Kobbie Mainoo, and James Garner. Or you could go for some experience in Jordan Henderson, of course. That's actually quite a difficult one. Because obviously the experience, some people do say the experience in the England squad would be good. Because there's going to be a lot of young players. I think James Garner's decent, but realistically, whoever I put in here won't start for them. It's going to be Rice and Anderson. So if you were looking at a situation here and you had 10 minutes left of a game and you're trying to hold on to a lead, you're not going to bring on Adam Wharton. You're not going to bring on Kobbie Mainoo. So I think realistically, it's good to have experience in the squad and someone that can see out a match. I'm actually going to go with Jordan Henderson, and that is not biased because obviously he played for Liverpool and was the Premier League champion captain, UCL captain for when they won. Like, I'm not being biased here. I do think it is good to have some experience in the squad, and if I'm not taking John Stones for that, I think Jordan Henderson should be there. So then we'll do number 10s, Bellingham, straightforward. Morgan Rogers. He's a bit on and off Morgan Rogers, but I would take him. Phil Foden, absolutely not. Eze, not really. He doesn't really do it for me in an Arsenal shirt. Cole Palmer's not had the best of years, but I would probably still take him. Because he can also play on the right wing, and I would also be taking Morgan Gibbs-White because he's had a really good year, and to be honest, deserves to be in the squad more than Cole Palmer. I think you can't not have the England squad including Gibbs-White here. Obviously, Cole Palmer can play on the right. Rodgers could play on the left. Rodgers could play on the right. This is what is a bit positive here. England have got options, versatility. You're probably thinking that too many number 10s there, but I don't think I have, personally. We have got one wildcard pick, potentially. I'm not sure. Um, First of all, we're going to go with the easy striker there, Harry Kane, and the other striker, which is Ollie Watkins. Pretty straightforward. Which then leaves us to our wingers. So we have 4 winger spots. Not had the best of seasons, but it would be... Saka still should be there. I think right wing is a problem for England, personally. Not in politics. I'm not talking politics here. Um, what I think is just that, Saka's good. Bowen's getting old. Madueke is not very good. Is this a situation where Palmer becomes the backup right winger as well? As a potential backup number 10? I would say so, yeah. So you could take Jared Bowen, or you could just take someone else. So we're going to now move to Marcus Rashford, because for me, he's had a decent season for Barcelona, and obviously still has a lot in the tank. So you've got 2 places left. So the players that you could look at, Anthony Gordon, Bowen, and Madueke, really, for those winger spots. Or do you take a wild card? Well, obviously Anthony Gordon can play across the front line. He's played at right wing before. He's played up front, and I think that helps. Jared Bowen's played up front. Hasn't scored in a while, but he does create chances. But he does look a bit slow. I would be taking Anthony Gordon, but not to play on the left wing. Well, no, he would. This is the thing, like, because you've got 26 players, there is going to be some players that won't play. So I could easily go with Bowen here to be the 26th player, but Bowen isn't going to play for England at the World Cup if he's in the squad. That's why I'm going to go for a wild card, and you know who I'm going to say. It's pretty obvious. I would genuinely put Rio in. And the reason that I'd put him in is just he can take defenders on. Like, if England are in a situation where they're throwing everything up front, their defenders might not know much about Rio. And it's not like he's barely played minutes compared to Dalman. Like, he played 90 minutes against Villa. He started against Chelsea. He's probably going to start against Brentford on the last day of the season. He is going to he plays a lot of minutes now. And look, Spain gave Yamal the chance at, 16? Obviously, Rio's 17. I wouldn't expect him to get more than like 5 minutes, probably. He probably wouldn't even play at all. I know he's not going to get called up. Like, I'm not being deluded here. I don't think that he would get called up by Tuchel. Just that's my wild card pick. I do think you have to have a couple of wild card picks in squads like this. I would say my wild card picks are probably Quansah, Colwill, Alex Scott, Henderson, and Engamoa, but my main one is obviously Engamoa. Would he play? Probably not, but I genuinely think he's an incredible winger. And that is my England 26-man squad. So yeah, obviously there's a little bit of bias there with probably Rio, and probably Quansah. The rest of it I don't think is bias at all. How many of these players will actually be in the squad? I think probably 20 of them would be in the squad, maybe 19. We'll have to see. This would be my starting 11 though for England, in the big games. So Pickford is a no-brainer, so is James. I actually would be playing Colwill over Gahey, which I know is probably going to be the unpopular opinion of this entire 11. O'Reilly at left back, yeah. Rice and Anderson, yeah. Bellingham. See, I'd love Gibbs White to start. Gibbs White's had such a good season, but no, I think Bellingham knows what it's like to play in the biggest games, so that's why I'd have him. Rashford and Saka, pretty straightforward, and then obviously captain Kane up front. But yeah, that's my England squad. Let's see who he picks tomorrow. Tomorrow, Friday. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. like if you enjoyed. Let me know who you think should make the World Cup squad. Hopefully England can win the World Cup. We'll do our predictions next week. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.